This is a very important article, and it says the incident that prompted Trump to ban Epstein from Mar-a-Lago spa. Okay, now, guys, this is important here because more of Donald Trump's dishonesty is coming to the forefront. Mar-a-Lago sent an 18-year-old spa worker on a house call to Jeffrey Epstein in 2003. She complained to her bosses that Epstein pressured her for sex. Okay? We will pause there. But this article is the first of new reporting where we find out not only did, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell go in and find Virginia Giuffre and take her out of Mar-a-Lago, Mar-a-Lago sent spa attendants, underage ones, to house calls at Jeffrey Epstein's house. And it was common knowledge that the guy would expose himself. They knew it. Everybody knew it. Employees at Mar-a-Lago Club warned each other that Epstein sometimes exposed himself during in-home spa appointments. So, what's important about this, guys, is the timing. Okay? Because here's what went down. Okay? Donald Trump says, "Oh, I got rid of Jeffrey Epstein when he started trying to snag girls from my work." Right? No. Virginia Giuffre got snagged from the work in 2000. Okay, so in 2000, one of his spa workers got plucked and went to work for Jeffrey Epstein. And Trump knew about it because her dad was a groundskeeper there. Trump knew Virginia Giuffre's dad, and Epstein paid off Virginia Giuffre's dad. 3 years later, they're still doing house calls. Okay, so Jeffrey Epstein stole a girl. He recruits a girl from the spa. He abuses her, pays off her father, who also works at Mar-a-Lago. And 3 years later, after that, they're still sending young girls to house calls at Epstein's house. So they were sending them after she was recruited. Epstein wasn't a dues-paying member of the club, but Trump told staff to treat him like one, the employees said. So there's another thing, guys. Even when he wasn't a paying member, Trump specifically told them to treat him like a paying member. I mean, that is so damning. And this is after Virginia Giuffre got recruited. Epstein had an account at the spa where his companion Ghislaine Maxwell booked appointments on his behalf. This all came to a halt in 2003 after an 18-year-old beautician returned to the club from a house call to Epstein and reported to managers that he had pressured her for sex. A manager sent Trump a fax relaying the employee's allegations and urged him to ban Epstein. Some of the former employees said Trump told the manager it was a good letter and said to kick him out. The beautician disclosed the house call to the club's human resources team. One of the former employees said the incident wasn't reported to Palm Beach police. So even though all the employees know this man exposes himself, which is a very criminal act, they didn't report it, guys. They didn't fucking report a 40-year-old man exposing himself to teenage girl workers. And they continue to send him teenage girl workers. The departments didn't begin investigating Epstein until 2 years later when a parent told them Epstein a 14-year-old girl from a local high school. That was the stepmother when they caught her with $300. Epstein was arrested in 2006 after several underage teens told the police he paid them for sex. Now, when this case first went before the DA, Barry Krischer, before the FBI got involved, the Palm Beach police guys found 40 girls. 40. They had 40 girls whose stories all matched up, lined up, of repeat visits, recruiting other girls. 40 Palm Beach girls. The Palm Beach police had their stories, had the evidence. They had evidence from Jeffrey Epstein's trash. They had a rock-solid case. And then the FBI went in and got all that shit and gave Epstein immunity and buried the case. Dude, it's insane. And they had all this, and they let him off. White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt said Tuesday that the Journal was writing up fallacies and innuendo in order to smear President Trump. No matter how many times this story is told and retold, the truth remains President Trump did nothing wrong and he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago for being a creep, Leavitt said in a text message. Now, I want to look at this response because, guys, doesn't this response remind you of something else? Do you see something else, the way they treated Trump, where their whole thing is no matter what you say about this story, the truth is that President Trump ended Epstein. Dude, this is what they say about slavery, guys. They're like, no. We're not going to talk about slavery and the black codes and segregation. No, white people in America ended slavery, guys. That's what we're going to talk about. We ended slavery. We're not going to talk about the 100 years of segregation and Jim Crow afterwards or the act that it built our entire country. The narrative of slavery is the white people ended it. All right? Don't you forget it. After a civil war and like national legislation and 100 years of like trying to reinstate it in some sneaky ass way, like who are they kidding, bro? He kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago for being a creep after they sent the creep who exposed himself young women repeatedly for 3 years after the creep recruited one of the spa workers and started putting her into the sex trade. Right? Representatives for the Trump Organization didn't respond to a request for comment. The Wall Street Journal identified 4 other Mar-a-Lago employees who were listed in Epstein's address book, which was obtained by the FBI in 2009. By the time Epstein was banned from the spa in 2003, disquiet over his presence at the club had been bubbling for years. You ready for this? Here's where it gets crazy. Including from Trump's second wife, Marla Maples. So Marla Maples apparently had a problem with Epstein in the 90s, like when Trump and him were friends. In the 90s, in the mid-1990s, Marla Maples warned her husband and others that something was off about Epstein, according to the employees. The relationship between Epstein and Trump, spanning from the 80s to the early 2000s, has been the focus of intense scrutiny this year. Now, this is interesting, though, guys, because they banned him from the spa in 2003, but he continued paying dues until 2007. Epstein's official account at Mar-a-Lago was listed closed in 2007. So he was banned from the spa in 2003, but they didn't close his account until 2007. I mean, they didn't ban Ghislaine Maxwell from the spa. Okay, so then Ghislaine had to sort this shit out. They were in fierce competition for a Palm Beach property up for grabs in bankruptcy in late 2004, and Epstein's message book showed 2 calls from Trump the month of the auction. So even after he banned him from the spa, he was still calling and leaving messages for Epstein. Now, Trump has given a variety of answers about when and why he cut Epstein off from Mar-a-Lago and then ended their friendship together. I had a falling out with him. I haven't spoken to him in 15 years, Trump said after his 2019 arrest. When asked this summer why he stopped socializing with Epstein, Trump said it was because Epstein had lured away some of his staff. Now we know that's a lie because for 3 years he was still outsourcing girls, sending young girls to Epstein, even though he exposed himself to them. Because he did something that was inappropriate. He hired help, Trump said. I said, don't ever do that again. He did it again, and I threw him out of the place. The White House, meanwhile, said that Trump kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago for being a creep to his female employees, including Giuffre. Into the early 2000s, Trump continued to associate with Epstein, saying in a New York Magazine profile, he was a lot of fun. He likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. A letter bearing Trump's signature and a drawing in naked woman was part of that birthday book, which was his 50th birthday in January 2003. Trump, you ready for this? Trump sued the Wall Street Journal in July over the article about the letter, calling it non-existent and alleging defamation. Congress has since obtained the letter from Epstein's estate and publicly released it. The Journal has moved to dismiss the lawsuit. But there you go, guys. Trump was suing the Wall Street Journal for defamation. And then Congress got the fucking letter, and we know it exists. Maxwell regularly visited Mar-a-Lago Spa when she booked Epstein's in-home appointments, charged services for herself to the account in Epstein's name. The spa made house calls for some members, but preferred that they come in for services, former employees said. Maxwell also used the spa to recruit young spa workers for side jobs, which weren't authorized by the club. She said they could make some extra cash by giving massages to her friend, former employees said. So there were probably other, right? There were probably other Virginia Giuffres that just like one and done. Maxwell went to other spas in the Palm Beach area in search of massage therapists for Epstein, according to a 2009 deposition by Epstein's house manager, who said he drove her as she made the rounds. Maxwell was convicted in 2021 for her role in the ring and is serving a 20-year prison sentence. And of course, she got moved to this, country club by Donald Trump. Representatives for Maxwell refused to comment. Maples, who married Trump in 93, widely shared concerns with Mar-a-Lago staff about Epstein as soon as the club opened in 95. She was vague about her reasons for disliking him. She told employees that something about Epstein was wrong and off, and that she worried about his influence on Trump. Okay, the comments were out of character for Maples, who rarely spoke ill of anyone to staff, the former employee said. So that was something that stood out. She never talked shit about people except Epstein. Marla, of course, is Tiffany's mom. Some of the former club employees said that Maples communicated her concerns to Timothy McDaniel, who worked as a bodyguard for the Trump family and oversaw security at their Florida properties. McDaniel wouldn't respond to requests for comment. So everyone is like zipping up. Maples told Trump she was uneasy about Epstein's presence. She didn't want to spend time with him and didn't want Trump to either. Trump's friendship with Epstein outlived his second marriage. He and Maples announced their separation in 97, finalized their divorce in 99. Okay, by then, Epstein had developed a reputation among spa staff for being inappropriate on house calls. So, dude, this is crazy. So they're saying they knew he was exposing himself to girls even before Virginia Giuffre, guys. That's crazy. So the club opens in 95, and from the very beginning, they were sending young girls from the spa to Epstein's. He was exposing himself and shit. And then he takes Virginia Giuffre, and then they still send him young girls. And then finally, when this one girl's like, I'm filing a complaint, they're like, whoa, all right, now we'll ban him. Right? Isn't that crazy? Like, that place should be shut down, guys. A massage therapist who worked in Mar-a-Lago in the late 90s, early 2000s recalled asking managers why Epstein couldn't come to the spa as they talked about sending someone 2 miles away to his house. The bosses told her Epstein preferred spa services in the privacy of his own home and warned that employee that Epstein sometimes exposed himself during the massages. So yeah, that's why he doesn't come here, because he pulls it out. Oh my God, dude. What are we doing, bro? So guys, this is a bombshell. And of course, though, this is why we're having the full-scale Tim Walz Somali daycare sort of thing. All right, because they don't want to talk about this, because there are many, many more details, okay, that are going to come out about this, because Trump knew. Okay, I don't know if we're ever going to get the smoking gun and see those pictures, those Michael Wolff photos. I know Trump did shit, and I don't know if we'll ever get that, but I do know that there is enough proof that everyone will know Trump knew. Okay, like if you get the files, okay, there will be absolute, unequivocal proof that Trump knew and was aware, and never went to the police, never prevented Epstein from doing it, and in fact, remained good buddies with him despite knowing it. Okay, that proof I know is in there, and that's going to come out.